You know, there's a question I've been carrying around in my head since I was a kid, a small kid, maybe 7, maybe 8. I was lying on the grass one night looking up at the star, and suddenly something hit me, something strange, something that made my stomach feel a little weird. I thought to myself, why is any of this here? Not how did it get here, not what is it made of, but why does it exist at all? Why isn't there just nothing? An empty, quiet, dark, dead nothing. No stars, no grass, no me lying there asking the question, nothing forever. And I'll tell you something honestly, I'm a grown man now. I've read the papers, I've looked at the equations, I've talked to people much smarter than me, and that question still scares me a little. It still keeps me up at night because the more you learn, the stranger it gets. So tonight I want to take you on a little walk, a slow walk, through the most uncomfortable, the most beautiful, the most haunting question in all of science. Why does the universe exist at all? And I'm not going to give you some cheap answer. I'm not going to tell you Nando's God did it and call it a day. I'm not going to tell you, Mom, it just happened and shrug my shoulders. We're going to look at this thing the way a curious child looks at a beetle on the sidewalk. We're going to poke it, we're going to turn it over. We're going to see what crawls out. Because by the end of this video, I promise you, you will look at your own hand differently. You will look at the chair you're sitting on differently. You'll look at the sky and you'll feel something. I don't even have a word for it. Maybe wonder, maybe terror, maybe both. So stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Because what I'm about to tell you, most people go their whole lives without ever really sitting with it. Now let's start with something simple. Something so simple, it almost sounds dumb. There is something instead of nothing. That's it. That's the whole mystery, right there in one sentence. You see, when philosophers and physicists try to imagine the nothing, real nothing, they run into a wall. Because what is nothing? Is it empty space? No, empty space is something. It has dimensions, it has properties, it has quantum fields jittering inside it. Real nothing would be no space, no time, no laws, no possibilities, no before, no far and after, not even darkness, because darkness is a thing you can see, just the absence of absence itself. And here's where it gets funny. The honest truth is human beings cannot imagine nothing. We try. We close our eyes. We picture a black void, but that black void is something. We picture infinite silence, but silence is something. Our brains were built to imagine things, not the lack of all things. So, when I ask you why is there something instead of nothing? You can't even properly picture the alternative, and maybe that's a clue. Maybe nothing was never even an option. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back, way back to the moment scientists call the Big Bang. Now, I want you to forget what you've seen in cartoons. There was no explosion in empty space. There was no boom with debris flying outward because there was no space for it to fly into. Space itself was the thing being created. Time itself was the thing being switched on. Around 13.8 billion years ago, and I want you to feel that number. 13.8 billion years, longer than your mind can really hold. The entire universe, every galaxy you've ever seen in a photograph, every star, every atom in your body was compressed into a point smaller than a single proton, smaller than a dot on this screen. And then it expanded faster than light in a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. They call it inflation. The universe doubled in size, then doubled again, dozens of times in less than a heartbeat of a heartbeat. And out of that came everything: hydrogen, helium, stars that lived and died, carbon forged in the bellies of those dying stars, the same carbon that's in your fingernails right now, iron from supernovae, the same iron in your blood. You are quite literally the leftover ash of dead stars that exploded billions of years before the Earth even formed. You are quite literally the leftover ash of dead stars that exploded billions of years before the Earth even formed. Think about that for a second. The atoms in your eyes, the atoms that are letting you watch this video, those atoms were once inside a star. They traveled across the galaxy for billions of years to end up in your skull, just so you could sit here tonight and ask the question, why? But here's where I have to be honest with you because I don't want to lie. I don't want to be one of those people on YouTube who pretends to know things they don't. The Big Bang doesn't answer our question, it just pushes it back. Because okay, the universe began 13.8 billion years ago, fine. But why? What caused it? What was before it? What lit the fuse? What was before it? What lit the fuse? And the standard answer from physics is, there is no before. Time itself started at the Big Bang. Asking what came before is like asking what's north of the North Pole. The question doesn't make sense. But I'll tell you something, that answer has never really satisfied me, and I don't think it's ever really satisfied anyone honest. Because deep down, in the quiet part of your brain, you still want to ask, but why did time start? Why did anything start? And that's the question that keeps the lights on in physics departments at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now let me tell you about a few ideas. A few real ideas that real scientists are actually working on. Not nonsense, not pseudoscience. Real, peer-reviewed, mathematically serious attempts to answer this thing. The first one is the multiverse. Our universe might not be the only one. There might be other universes, maybe billions, maybe infinite, each with its own laws of physics. Some have different gravity. Some have no stars. Some collapsed a second after they were born. And we just happen to be in the one where the conditions were just right for atoms to form, stars to burn, planets to exist, and life to emerge. It's like, imagine an infinite number of lottery tickets. Most of them lose, but somewhere in that infinity, one ticket wins, and the winning ticket is us. We're not special. We're just the ones who survived to ask the question. But notice something, even if the multiverse is real, why does the multiverse exist? The question doesn't go away, it just gets bigger. Okay, second idea, this one's strange. Stay with me. Some physicists, serious ones like Stephen Hawking before he passed away, suggested that the universe might be self-creating, that the laws of quantum mechanics allow something to come from nothing, because at the quantum level, particles pop in and out of existence all the time. You can watch it happen in a lab. Empty space is constantly bubbling with little flickers of matter and antimatter appearing and disappearing. So maybe the entire universe is just one big quantum fluctuation, a bubble that popped out of the void like foam on the ocean. It sounds crazy. It sounds like science fiction, but the math actually works. The total energy of the universe, when you add up all the matter and subtract all the gravity, comes out to roughly zero. The universe might be the ultimate free lunch, but again, whose laws? Why quantum mechanics? Why these rules and not others? The question keeps backing up. Now let me tell you the one that personally gives me the chills. It's called the simulation hypothesis. And before you roll your eyes, I know, you've heard it 100 times on the internet, but hear me out, because the people taking it seriously are not crackpots. They're philosophers at Oxford. They're engineers at companies you've heard of. They're physicists with Nobel Prizes who, when pressed, will admit we can't rule it out. The argument is simple. If one day any civilization anywhere becomes advanced enough to simulate a universe inside a computer, and if that simulation is detailed enough that the beings inside it become conscious, then statistically there should be way more simulated universes than real ones. And so the odds that we are in the one real one are very, very small. Maybe you're not real, maybe I'm not real. Maybe this video is a string of code running on a machine in a universe we'll never see. I don't know if it's true. Nobody does. But the fact that we can't disprove it, that should make you pause. All right, take a breath because I want to come back down to earth for a second. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. Here's the part that I think is more interesting than all of these theories combined. Whatever the answer is, multiverse, quantum fluctuation, simulation god, something we haven't even thought of yet, you are here right now, watching this, breathing, thinking, wondering. The probability of you existing, you specifically with your face, your memories, your name, is so absurdly small that it's basically zero. Your parents had to meet. Their parents had to meet. Back and back and back through 10,000 generations of humans, through millions of years of mammals, through hundreds of millions of years of fish crawling out of oceans, through billions of years of single-celled creatures, all the way back to that first chemical reaction in some warm little pond on a young Earth. And before that, a star had to die in just the right way to seed the solar system with carbon. And before that, a galaxy had to form. And before that, the universe had to expand at exactly the right rate. Too fast, no galaxies. Too slow, everything collapses back into a black hole. The number had to be tuned to about 1 part in 10 to the 60th power. That's a 1 followed by 60 zeros. Scientists have a word for this. They call it the fine-tuning problem. The universe seems suspicious, like somebody set the dials very carefully, and nobody knows why. Now, I want to tell you something personal because I don't think a video like this is honest if I just throw facts at you and walk away. When I really sit with this question, when I really let it into my chest, I feel two things at the same time. The first thing I feel is small, embarrassingly small. The universe is 93 billion light years across as far as we can see, and it might be infinite beyond that. There are 2 trillion galaxies out there. Each galaxy has 100 billion stars. Each star might have planets. And here I am, a little pile of carbon and water, on a rock asking why any of it is here. But the second thing I feel, and this is the strange part, is important, because as far as we know, the universe spent 13.8 billion years building itself, expanding, cooling, cooking elements in stars, smashing planets together, evolving slime into fish, into reptiles, into us. All so that on this one little rock, a bunch of atoms could finally arrange themselves in such a way that they could look back and ask, why are we here? The universe, through us, is becoming aware of itself. You, yes, you, the person watching this on your phone or your laptop or your TV, you are the universe asking the question, and I don't know if that makes me want to cry or laugh. Probably both. So let me come to the end, because I owe you an answer, or at least the closest thing to one I've got. Why does the universe exist at all? Here's my honest answer. Take it or leave it. I don't know. Nobody knows. Anyone who tells you they know, whether they're wearing a lab coat or a robe, is selling you something. The truth is, the deepest question a human being can ask is still wide open. The smartest minds in history have stared at it and shrugged. But, and this is important, not knowing is not the same as not caring. The fact that we can ask the question is itself the miracle. A pile of atoms organized into a brain sitting in front of a screen wondering about its own existence, that is, in my opinion, the strangest and most beautiful thing in the cosmos. Stranger than black holes, stranger than quasars, stranger than the Big Bang itself. And maybe, just maybe, the answer to why does the universe exist is not a thing you can find with a telescope or a particle accelerator. Maybe it's not a fact. Maybe it's a direction, a pull, a reason for getting up in the morning, a reason to keep looking, keep asking, keep wondering, because the day we stop wondering, that's the day the universe goes quiet again. That's the day nothing wins. So keep wondering, keep looking up at the stars on summer nights. Keep asking the dumb questions, the embarrassing questions, the questions your teacher told you not to ask. Because somewhere in the back of all of this, in the back of the equations and the galaxies and the quantum foam and the dying stars, there is an answer. And maybe, just maybe, one of you watching this right now is going to be the one who finds it. I hope so. I really do. Thank you for sitting with me tonight. Take care of yourself. And the next time you walk outside, look up just for a second. And remember, you are the universe looking at itself. Good night.